Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start, I think you should all take a very good look at me. Thank you, thank you. Do you see anything out of the ordinary? Me neither. I look quite the same as every other contestant here today. We are digital natives. We are the indigenous people of the internet. So how has the internet influenced us naive teenagers? Have we really become brainless zombies, as our parents are making everyone believe? In our day, we used to read instead of look at that little screen all day. Can you imagine? Well, to that I say, of course we read. The only thing we do is read. In fact, I have two hobbies regarding reading. On one hand, I love checking my enormously interesting social media feeds. On the other hand, I'm really fond of literature. Let's focus on social media first. On Facebook, for example, I can find an endless amount of stories. The quality is, of course, debatable, but nonetheless, they are written by people who want you to read them. Yet, their relationship status is often more complicated than the stories themselves. I'm also a big fan of Twitter, a site where you tweet small messages containing a funny note or the consigner's feelings. The possibility to be profound on Twitter is rather small, because you can only use 140 characters. I doubt if Aristotle would have been able to explain his theories on Twitter. So, social media offers an abundance of narcissistic, superficial stories, and we youngsters love reading them. The problem is that all of these stories lack originality and creativity. Where can we find the high-quality tales then? Well, just open up a closet with a thick layer of dust on it. I'm sure that inside you will find a few top-notch novels. Huge books that smell like history and contain a whole new world inside of them. Pure and impeccable literature. The only problem here is, and let's be honest, we'll never read them. You see, all of these stories are written by dinosaurs, an elite group of authors comfortably looking down on contemporary youth from their ivory towers. But I don't see them putting any effort in a relationship between them and their readers, and relationships should be mutual, shouldn't they? So, out with the old literary classics and in with the lightning speed social media? I don't think so. I might be a digital native, but I'm also a die-hard book lover. I'm part of a species on the verge of extinction, the Homo literaris. That's a made-up Latin term. I'm just trying to sound cultivated. So maybe literacy needs a social media makeover. What if we could find a combination of my two favorite interests? A perfect example of someone who seems to have mastered this amalgamation is John Green, author of the best-selling novel The Fault in Our Stars. Not only is Green a famous author, he's also a famous YouTuber. He and his brother started a YouTube channel in 2007, and they became wildly popular. Years later, Green decided to write The Fault in Our Stars, and counting on his already accumulated fan base, his book became a bestseller. Now, I realize that some authors might consider themselves too serious for occupations like this. But looking at the facts, we can state that it actually works. If stories want to be appealing to my generation, they will have to become a part of social media. Not only marketing-wise, I'm talking about online content surpassing the borders of written work. For example, in one of our Dutch classes last year, we discussed the literary stuntman Arnon Grunberg, who pretended to be a 17-year-old girl while chatting with other teenagers and writing a weblog. This girl was the main character of his new novel Tirza, and obviously afterwards it turned out that Tirza never existed in real life. This raised the interest of thousands of youngsters and got them reading on his novel. Or look at our beloved J.K. Rowling. She posts new exclusive stories on her Pottermore site, and there you can become a student at Hogwarts and even get sorted in a house. Mine was Ravenclaw, by the way. That is why I want to launch my appeal to all modern authors. Reach out to us. Tickle our imagination, bridge the gap between your world and ours. Only then can your stories live happily ever after. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Jana. Where would you place social media in your future as a radio presenter?
Well, radio presenters are very active on social media right now. You can follow all sorts of Pit van der Veer bijvoorbeeld, for example. They follow the news very closely as radio presenters, as news presenters, and they are the first to know about stuff on Twitter, for example. They follow famous people and other news anchors. And I think that as a radio presenter, as a face of media, you should also be very active on social media and interact with your audience, like asking about the opinion of your audience on Twitter.
Jana, I was wondering, why do you think it is that we've stopped reading?
Well, I think that once social media became a part of our lives, it turned out that it was much easier to go on Facebook or Twitter. It is much easier to pick up your phone and just open up the app than to pick up a book and read. It takes a lot more effort to put time and to open up the book, go to the library, maybe buy the book. It's so much easier for us youngsters to express ourselves on social media. Our opinion is much more appreciated on social media. While writing a book, reading a book, you can't do that. And I think that is why social media is so attractive to us youngsters.
Thank you.
You said literature needs a social media makeover. I have an example of that. Penguin Books recently released a novel called Twitterature that contains many classic pieces of literature, but these stories are retold through tweets. So each story is a collection of about 200 tweets. Is this the kind of makeover you want to go for?
I think that while doing that, while reducing important classics into tweets, you will certainly degrade the literal aspect of novels. My example of social media makeover is really trying to interact with your readers. The authors and the readers should become a team while writing and reading this book. So I don't think the example of Twitterature is the best way to go, because novels are still important because of the language that is used in them. And Twitter language is, well, not very good.
You mentioned John Green. John Green is a writer of today. How would you bring down the old dinosaurs down from their ivory tower? Because they're not here anymore.
Well, unfortunately, some writers are dead, like Shakespeare, for example, or Dickinson. I think that it is the job of youth today, people that are interested in literature today, like me, like you, to bring back these dead writers and this old literature, because we want to introduce other people to it. We want to make sure that they remain alive. We want to preserve this old literature, and I think it is really our job as the non-dead people to bring alive the old literature that is now slowly degrading. Yeah, it is really the new generation that has to bring back the old generation.
You talked about the low quality of the stories on Facebook, but why is it so important for the stories on Facebook or the posts on Facebook to have this quality, while it might just be about people expressing themselves?
Well, you don't want to see cat pictures or Justin Bieber love declarations every day. they get boring. I mean, it's fun the first time. Like Zayn Malik, he's out of One Direction now, the tragedy. But I've been seeing this the entire week now. All sorts of girls crying about Zayn not being in One Direction anymore. And it's repetitive. It's always the same on Facebook, on Twitter. And the imaginative powers of literature are not present in social media. And I think that is the most important thing about stories.